Hey, what's up everybody? This is Evan from Black Belt Wholesaling, and today I want to talk about EMD and deposits and how you should handle them for your contracts, for all your deals. So also, I wanted to talk about, for the first time, I've been doing this for over 3 years full-time, and well, like part-time, full-time. And for the first time, I actually had somebody steal money from me. And I'll kind of get into how that went. But so what exactly is an EMD and what is a deposit? So anytime you have a contract with somebody, you put a house under contract and you're going to buy it or assign it, typically the seller is going to want a deposit. So you can do anything from zero to the entire purchase price of the house. Commonly, it's somewhere between like $10 and maybe up to $1,000 and maybe even more depending on the size of the deal. But for most wholesale deals, it's like, you know, $10, $100, $500. And some people will say, well, if you don't put any money down, if you write zero on the contract, then the contract it's not a real contract. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take anything that I say as legal, and maybe laws vary in your state. But when you sign an agreement, even if you write zero in the contract, that's still a legally binding contract to my knowledge. But definitely check with the laws in your state. So really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you put zero or if you put 100 or if you put $1 million in there. What matters is that you want to buy the property, or you have the intentions of buying it and assigning it, and you can find an end buyer, and the seller is the rightful seller, and they want to sell the property. So really, it comes down to, you know, do you guys want to make the deal happen or not? If you don't want to make the deal happen, don't sign the contract. But a lot of times, sometimes some common things that come up when dealing with a deposit question or issue is somebody will say, well, I want 10% down. Okay, so if you have a $100,000 property under contract, that's 10%, that's $10,000. And most people don't want to put down or come up with $10,000. And they certainly don't want to give it to the seller, because the seller could just take that money and run, which does happen. So what do you do about that? So what you say, you have to have some kind of number in mind. Sometimes, whatever it is, it's $10, $100. For me, it's $500. I write $500 in the contract. If somebody ever says, well, I want more than that, I want 1,000, I want 2,000, I say, well, hey, listen, I do anywhere between 5 to 10 deals every single month. So the problem with a lot of these deals, and a lot of people don't know this, is that there's actually a lot of title issues. And no matter who I talk to, they always say there's never any title issues. The title's always free and clear. You know, there's no bills, there's no money owed on the property. But then probably about 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of title issue that comes up which could take longer for the actual settlement to happen. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen for this property, and I certainly hope it doesn't. But most of the time, people don't know, and I know that you know with every intention that you think that there's no title issues on the property, but like I said, a lot of times there are. So the problem with that is, if I put down $10,000 on your property, and I did, let's say at the most 10 other deals, or whatever, 5 to 10 other deals per month, I'm looking at spending $50,000 to $100,000 in just deposits. The problem with that is everybody's got the intention of closing in 30 days or less. I know that's my intention. But in reality, there are title issues which extend these, and sometimes it's only maybe a couple of weeks, but sometimes it's like literally 6 to 8 months. So I cannot afford to have $100,000 tied up for 6 to 8 months every single month. As you can see, that's going to be close to $500,000 in a very short period of time of money that's literally just tied up, not doing any work, not doing anything. So that's why we always do a fair $500 deposit. It goes to the title company, and if there's any kind of issues or whatsoever, obviously you would get that. But that's how I do the deposits, and most people understand that, right? Most people, when you explain it to them like that, they typically understand that. So that's probably like one of the better ways of dealing with the whole deposit thing. I want to talk about how actually I had someone steal money from me recently. So I went down to this property, and this woman, she was living there, and she said it was her grandmother's house, and that her father passed away, and the brother, her uncle, her father's brother passed away, and that she and her sister were the only heirs to the property, and they had not yet opened up an estate to the property. So I get to this house, and this is kind of what's going on. So I've dealt with this kind of situation before, and what I'll typically do is they need money for the estate, and the estate in the city of Philadelphia costs close to $500. It's like $450, $500 to open up an estate. I don't know why, it's stupid, but that's just the way it is. And a lot of places it could be maybe a couple $100 just to open up an estate in whatever county you're in. So I knew this. I knew she was going to need this money, or at least she said she needed the money. I could kind of, sometimes when you're talking to people, you can kind of tell if they have the money. You ask them, say, hey, did you open up the estate? No. Okay, well, do you know that's probably going to cost about $500 to open up the estate? No, really? Is it that much? I didn't know that. Okay, well, do you have that available? No. Okay, well, this is what I'm going to tell you what I did, and I'm going to tell you what I should have done. What I did was I gave her $400 in cash and said, I first was going to just give her maybe $200 in cash. I gave her I knew it was going to be closer to $475 to open up the estate, because I guess for some reason she had called down there. She kind of knew a lot of times people will call and figure out what's going on. So she knew beforehand, or at least she said she did, that there was going to be a $475 cost to open up the estate. So I gave her $400 in cash, and I figured she can come up with the other $75. So that was on a Friday. So over the weekend, I get a text from her. She says, hey, do you know anybody who does loans, like a small loan or like one of these like payday loan things, because I need to get some space heaters. My heat doesn't work. She told me this when she was there too, that her heat wasn't working. She just said, my heater does not work, and I only have 2 space heaters. And I know that she had kids too. So I said, well, you know what I'm going to do? I had 2 extra space heaters that I don't need. So I said, I'm going to just bring them to you tomorrow. So the next day I just brought the space heaters to her. So after that, it kind of started getting weird, because the following Monday and Tuesday, she kept asking if she can get more money from me. And I said, look, I can probably give you a little bit more, like maybe a couple $100 once the estate is open. She said, okay, no problem. I'm going down there on Tuesday. Monday was actually a holiday for that time. So she went down there. She said she went down there on Tuesday. So okay, no problem, great. So when she went down there, she texted me later that day, hey, I went down there. I'm like, how did everything go? Sometimes they need some documentation or this or that. And she said everything was great, estate's all open. I said, great, send me a copy of the receipt. So then it got kind of weird after that. She said, okay, well, actually my sister has a copy of the receipt. Well, your sister was the person who you said was renouncing her, basically giving up her rights for the estate, and you were going to take the lead as the head administratrix, which is I believe the correct term. So she's basically the head executor of the estate. So she told me about her sister before, and so she said their sister didn't want anything to do with the property, and that her grandmother verbally left the property to her. Whatever, that's their business, as long as her and her sister are in agreement with that, and they're the rightful heirs. That's between them. So it started getting weird, and I just kind of got a bad feeling about this. So fast forward like a couple of days, she said some other things, which were kind of weird. Basically asking for more money. And so I actually was in contact with my title company. They knew about the property, and all of a sudden they told me, hey, this person has actually done this with a couple of other people, so stay clear of her. So she had apparently taken money or signed other contracts with other people and just never did anything like that. So that is basically fraud, theft or whatever. I don't know all the legal terms for it. I mean, in the city of Philadelphia, there's so much crime and things like that like by the time it gets reported, it's kind of gonna get like swept under the rug. So I did confront her on it. I said, look, I know you're lying, and you need to admit it to me, and she did. So that's kind of what happened. But that's what I did. Now here's what I should have done. Here's what I should have done initially to prevent this from happening. And I did do this before with another person, but for some reason, I just trusted this person. I just trusted, she just seemed like a decent person who was just in a bad spot, didn't have a ton of money, and she needed help, okay? So that's where you gotta be careful in this business, especially when giving deposits. So don't trust everybody. You can trust, but verify. So what I should have done was, I should have said, okay, instead of giving her that money, I should have said, okay, well, here's what we're gonna do. You, me, and your sister are gonna go all the way down. I'll drive you guys myself if necessary. I'm gonna take you down to City Hall, the Register of Wills, the probate office, basically, and we're gonna open up the estate, and I'll pay for it right there on the spot, and that way we can get the ball rolling on that. And we can do that now, or we can do that, obviously, get a time for you and your sister to go down there. And that way she can sign her, it's called renunciation of rights. That way she doesn't have to do have anything to do with the property, and you can be in charge of everything, and then we can get going that way. That's what I should have done. In the end, I lost $450. It's not the end of the world, but lesson learned. I should have known that, because I have done this before. I have taken down people to the probate office, and I have, paid for the probate for whatever it is, $400 or $500, and got the ball rolling that way. So lesson learned, don't do it again. I hope when you're watching this, you be careful with who you actually give cash to, and be very wary of giving it to the seller directly, especially, if it's, unless you are okay with losing it at the end of the day. I mean, I've given people deposits for their next apartment where they might need $1,500 to get out of the house. Well, the thing is, if they don't get out of the house, the end buyer's not going to buy the property because it's not vacant. So I got to give them the money to move. So what I'll do is I'll say, listen, I will give your landlord the money once you get a signed lease, or when you're ready to sign the lease, let me know. I'll make the check out to them directly. Or what I've done that a bunch of times. But you got to be careful how much you're going to give. What's reasonable? Like in my area, rent is anywhere probably between $750 and $1,500 a month. So a lot of people, you can figure that they can find a place for maybe $1,000 a month. But if they say, hey, I need $5,000 to move out of this place, and no, I'm not doing that. And what you really want to do is you want to get them to come up with something on their own. So what I'll say is, hey, look, if you need first, last, and security, I'll come up with the deposit, and you got to come up with the rest of that. Is that fair? And sometimes they might say, well, look, I can come up with 1 month. Can you help me? And I'll say, well, maybe we can split the whole thing. I'll do first, last, and security. We'll take that and we'll just divide it by 2. I'll come up with half and you come up with the other half, and I can help you out here, right? There's all kinds of things. So that's it for today. If you've ever had an experience like that, I would like to hear about it. So maybe post in the comments below. And if this was any value to you, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Once I do that, then I can monetize the channel and put a lot more content out there to help people. All right. So that's everything for today. Have a good day.